Capital Games. I'm the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Today, we are going over the new releases for March 2023. Since it's almost the end of the month of February, since it is a lesser month, of course, we are going to start discussing the new releases that are coming out starting at the beginning of March. It seems to be not as loaded as February was, but there's still some interesting stuff to talk about. Before we get started, is there anything particular you're looking at and you're looking forward to?
As far as March goes, I think really Resident Evil 4 Remake. I'm hoping I can get my personal stuff sorted out because I'd love to pick up a copy of this game since the original release of Resident Evil 4 on GameCube was probably by far one of my most beloved games on GameCube, especially just from how it took Resident Evil into a interesting direction and with kind of adding sort of cinematic action and everything. The GameCube release did have its pain points. Mostly the QTEs could be just absolutely brutal. If you missed an input, then sometimes it would just start you right at the beginning of like the cutscene, and the worst offender of this was the Krauser knife fight. It was, I think, like almost a 5 or 10 minute cutscene, and just it was chock full of QTEs, and if you missed one, there was no checkpoint. It was just, oh, you missed it? Okay, well, guess what? You get to start the cinematic cutscene all over again. I know a couple weeks ago, the team behind the new Resident Evil 4 Remake had said, yeah, so one change we are getting rid of all the QTEs. And then during the PlayStation presentation last week, a piece of video footage showing off the Krauser fight as a regular boss fight. And there are some QTE moments to like do dodge rolls and stuff like that, but I mean that's just it. It's just kind of a, hey, you should dodge right now, instead of a, hey, you need to press this button or you're dead.
That is coming out March 24th. It's coming into PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, with a PSVR 2 version in development. It's funny, I know that a lot of people are looking forward to this, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it right now. So I don't think this means it's going to be a dud or it's not going to sell very well. I think it definitely will, but I'm just a little surprised that there's not more excitement for this game coming out.
I think mostly it's just because Capcom has been keeping the game's info close to the chest. So sure. I think that's really what's going on. And now that a lot more information has been revealed, you're probably going to see a lot of chatter to the run-up on the release date.
It'll be weird if we don't hear anything. Because if we don't start hearing more, I would expect a delay. But I think you just mentioned it. They just had a big reveal on the PlayStation's State of Play this past week. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near where there might be delaying it. So they might just pick up on the marketing in a couple of weeks, I guess is what's going to happen. So that's coming out March 24th, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, Zero, the game I'm looking forward to next month is MLB The Show 23. And
hey, no shame in that.
Yeah.
I know you're kind of a big sports game fan, especially if the game is actually good. And the MLB 2K games by PlayStation Studios usually end up being extremely good for a sports game.
Yes, absolutely. And I think they do the fantasy sports thing, the card game, the Ultimate Team thing very well. But they've made some changes into that mode that has me a little worried. It seems like they're doing the thing that the NBA 2K does. Have I told you a little bit about NBA 2K? I don't think I've done it on here. The last NBA 2K I've gotten, I went into my team because that's the modes I like to play. And what they would start doing is they would start doing seasons throughout the year where you would get like the first season's worth of cards, and then you would have to get the next season's worth of cards, which is just a pumping scheme for you to buy more packs. So the show didn't have that, And I'm really afraid that they're going to go that route this year, where they want more of an incentive for you to spend money on the game, whereas in previous years there really wasn't an incentive. So I'm a little worried, but other than that, the things that they've been showing off are interesting, especially with the Diamond Dynasty, and especially with the new mode called Storylines, where they're going to go over the Negro Leagues when it comes to baseball. So that's going to be very interesting in that mode. But other than that, yeah, that's the one I'm looking forward to. It's coming March 28th. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch. No PC. I'm getting a little annoyed. I really think they should put that on PC. So we got into the ones that we're looking forward to. Let's go into what else is being released this month, coming up in March. Let's go to ports first, and we're going to cycle through those real quick. Ports, Sessions, Skate Sim, coming to the Switch. Anno 1800, coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Transport Fever 2, Console Edition, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. Remnant from the Ashes is coming to Switch. And Last of Us Part 1 is going to get its PC port at the end of the month. Are there anything there that you just listed that you want to talk a little bit about, Zero?
I think the one that I can probably speak to the most of is Remnant from the Ashes, because I played quite a bit of that on PC a few months ago. It's great to see that it's coming to Switch. It is a bit of a shame that Remnant does not feature cross-platform play, because I think the game would benefit from that, but I do know that on the Game Awards this past December, they did announce that Remnant 2 was being worked on, and it's going to be coming out sometime in 2023. Maybe just they can get cross-platform play put into the sequel and everything, because I'd love to be able to just kind of group up with all of my friends on whichever platform they choose to play.
I played that like a couple years ago and really enjoyed playing it, so I think I played it on PC as well. So that was a fun game. Really tough, but it was fun.
There were also a couple of minor ports that do deserve a little bit of mention. March 7th, Little Witch No Beta is getting a console port to PS4 and Switch, and that's kind of sort of like a cel-shaded Dark Souls-like style game from, I believe it is either a Chinese or a Taiwanese studio, I forget. Mm-hmm. It's got voice acting, but the voice acting is in Japanese and everything. So for anyone who's kind of into the Dark Souls style games, then check that one out. I know on PC it's priced at $24.99, so I would assume it's probably going to have the similar price on both PS4 and Switch. Okay. Another one that I think deserves a good mention is Norn 9 Far Commons. This is a remaster of a PSP visual novel. I know, or I remember that, Axis Games was the studio that did the localization for it on PSP. So, or no, not PSP, but PS Vita. So this one is great to see, because I think after the Vita went into end of life mode, this visual novel became a little bit on the expensive side for anyone who was interested in playing it. So to see it come back in a much more accessible version and on Switch of all things is great to see for the visual novel fans out there.
Okay, I didn't even know that was a port or a remaster, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then lastly, this one's kind of a big one because it never officially came out in English. It got a fan translation back on its original release, but that was literally about it, and that would be Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse.
Okay.
This one is coming out to pretty much everything: PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC. This will be the first time the game will be officially available in English, and I know that some journals did interview with Koei Tecmo about the future of the Fatal Frame games, and they had sort of made some hints saying, hey, you know, if you're a big Fatal Frame fan, we'll be watching the sales numbers for this one and see how it does, and depending on how the sales look, we might consider putting some money into development of another Fatal Frame game.
was gonna put this as one of the releases because it never went to the States, so I was just putting it in the main rotation, but we'll get to it right now. When was the last one that actually came to the States? Was it from the Wii U?
Yeah, that one was the one that God goodness, I cannot remember that one, and I quite loved it. Oh, Made in Blackwater, that's what it was.
Okay.
So yeah, that one was the one that originally came out for Wii U. The sales were okay, it wasn't great. So then they did the remaster for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and also it got a port treatment on Switch as well too, and I think it came out on PC as well.
Okay.
And I believe the sales were pretty solid on that. And Koei Tecmo had said, hey, we'll look into the Fatal Frame series because the sales of Maiden of Blackwater remastered seem to have been pretty solid. So I think that's part of the reason that they decided to dig deep into their back catalog and pull this one. And it'll be interesting to see since Mask of the Lunar Eclipse was originally a Wii game, and it was Japan only as well too. So it's from what I've seen from the Fatal Frame fans, they feel that this one is probably one of the weaker ones in the entire collection, but it's still a good play.
So it's considered one of the weaker ones? I thought this was one that was more beloved. I thought that was the reason why they were bringing it out, because if it's the weaker one, I wouldn't expect people to want to buy that.
The general opinion that I've seen is Mask of the Lunar Eclipse they feel is one of the weaker ones, but it's not the weakest. So at least that's what I have understood. But yeah, just overall, I'd love to see more Fatal Frame games. Definitely hoping for this one to make a decent splash to tell Koei Tecmo that more people want Fatal Frame games, but we'll have to see, especially if people end up going, yeah, I liked it, but I felt the story was weak, so, maybe consider another Fatal Frame game or something. That would be extremely sad to see.
Okay. All right, so those are the ports that are coming out in March, and why don't we get right down to what else is coming out for the month of March in 2023. We're going to start with Wulong Fallen Dynasty, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. That's another game that when it showed off, I think about 6 to 9 months ago, they showed off pretty well. But we've heard next to nothing after that. And we're expecting it by Friday?
Yeah, the thing is the demo came out sometime last week.
That's right.
And the demo for PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S consoles, I think generally have been seen as running pretty good, but the main controversy has been that the PC port of the demo has been just nothing but bad. All sorts of weird lag and chugging of performance, and this is the second demo in the span of a month that Koei Tecmo has put out that the performance just isn't good on PC. And I know quite a number of people have griped and said, Koei Tecmo's history with PC ports is just hit or miss. Like, sometimes they'll have PC ports of games or demos that the performance is just buttery smooth and everything runs just perfectly. And then you have just misses like the recent Wild Hearts, and then you also have Wulong Fallen Dynasty just being absolute stinkers in the PC ports. So it's a bit sad to see this, but I'm hoping that the performance issues with Wulong are maybe something minor that maybe is just a matter of just updating something. I know in the case of Wild Hearts, it was literally some sort of flag to force the game to run into a single core performance mode. So it did leverage modern day multi-core processors with hyper-threading and stuff like that. So I'm hoping maybe Wulong is just a similar issue, that it's just something that they just need to fix the flag, and the minute they do, the performance should be back to where it should be.
But the console ports, they've been positive. How is the gameplay that people have been played on that? Is that Is it solid? Are people looking forward to it? Because I have not heard anybody talk about this game. So maybe I'm in the wrong forums. But yeah, what are you hearing aside from the PC port? It looks pretty bad.
I want to say some people say that it seems like if you like Neo, which was one of their Dark Souls styled games, then this is kind of more of the same. So it seems like it's just more on that and everything. But it is also nice that they're doing the thing that they've been usually doing, that if you play the demo, your save data does migrate over to the final retail release version of the game.
All right, so that's coming out March 3rd. It's Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So you'll be expecting that this Friday when it comes out. So reviews should probably be hopefully by Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what the cutoff is for that, but we should expect some reviews soon, is what we're saying.
Yeah. I think one of the things that people said is interesting about this game is the fact that the difficulty of the game is going to be tied to our morale system. If naturally you are just killing enemies back to back to back, then the morale for your army is going to be quite high. And the morale system also kind of works almost like the Nemesis system in the Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor games, that if an enemy kills you, your army will lose morale, and then the enemy that killed you will have its level increase. And then, of course, if you want to regain the morale that your army has lost, you'll need to go hunt that enemy down and kill it.
So a little more than just fight hard bad guy. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Again, that's March 3rd, coming to pretty much all systems. Next one, March 14th, The Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure, PS4, Switch, and PC. This is the sequel to Trails of Zero. Am I correct on that?
I am not too familiar with the lineage on this. I know it's part of one of Nihon Falcom's just epic sort of narrative-heavy RPGs. So, I mean, if you're kind of in the mood for a JRPG that almost comes off like a novel, this is pretty much more of the same.
There are people who are diehard into the Legend of Heroes game. I know that the beginning of it was Trails in the Sky. That was the PSP games. And then there is the Trails of Cold Steel. Those are the PS4 games. And this is in between. So I think this is Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure. And this is called the Crossbell Saga. It's two games, essentially. So it's the in-between the two of those.
Yeah, so this game is the sequel to Trails of Zero, like you mentioned.
Okay.
And it's also the final part of the Crossbell arc, apparently.
Okay. So basically, if you're into Legend of Heroes and those Trails games, you're buying this. So there's that. I gotta tell you, this is one of these series that I really want to get into, but just the intimidation to know that I'm gonna have to dig through 8 other games to get to the finality of the story is pretty daunting, to be absolutely honest. I know I've read and I've watched videos where they say you can start at Sky or you can start at Cold Steel and you'll still get a good story, but those are long games. So I'm definitely interested, but I guess getting over that hump to just be like, okay, I'm going to sit down and just play this game, it is going to be quite a task, I would say. Have you played any of the Legend of Heroes games?
I've tried to play 2, and they are just absolute behemoths of games.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear people who have told me, oh, don't worry about it, just... Yeah, sure. The games are absolutely huge and monstrous, but just the story's good enough that you'll get a good experience playing through them. But just when I see the raw hour counts that I have to put into them, and I'm just like, oh god, I'd love to try, but holy cow, these are really intense games.
Exactly. And then if the game doesn't hit you right away, you automatically have an excuse right there to just stop. which is what happened with Trails of Cold Steel, because I was playing it and I was liking what I was playing, but I dove off of it. I think there's something else I wanted to play, and I haven't touched it since. So I don't know. Like, it's one of those series I do want to get into at some point. But like I said, just the intimidation of the amount of hours that you would have to put in to get through the whole story is a bit massive. But I think this will sell pretty well. I mean, these do sell pretty well for Neon Falcon. So I don't expect this to be a bomb or to be a poor sales at all. I think they know who they're marketing it to, and they're willing to buy it, essentially. So
I think the next big release, and I know we've discussed this one, that we're kind of concerned that this one's probably gonna trip on its landing. But March 17th is Bayonetta Origins: Cereza and the Lost Demon, and that's Switch only.
Yeah, like when this was revealed in the Game Awards this past year, I think we both thought, maybe I'm assuming what you thought too. I thought that this was a budget game. I thought this was going to be a $20, $30 side story game.
I think my max cap was maybe $40.
Right. Now that we know that is a $60 game with a physical release, I do not think this is going to do well sales-wise. I think this will be a massive disappointment. So I hope this game was made for cheap, because if it wasn't, oh boy, are they going to trip on their feet on this. So I am not that I'm not looking forward to it. I'm curious about it, but the type of game it is, I'm not exactly jumping to play it, to be absolutely honest. So even though I am a fan of Bayonetta, this doesn't interest me at all. What do you think?
I mostly have curiosity on it. I'm kind of weird that I like to sort of take a dive and just explore games that are typically outside of my wheelhouse. This one's sort of interesting because it's got like a sort of two characters sort of co-op sort of thing going on, where you're controlling Cereza with one of the analog sticks, and then you're controlling Cheshire with one of the other sticks. But the difference is Bayonetta, or rather Cereza, is not doing any attacking. Her main focus is to just avoid the enemies and cast support spells to support Cheshire, and then Cheshire's kind of like your tank. And it seems like it could be interesting, but yeah, just I look at this $60 price and I'm just a little hesitant to drop that much money on it. And since this is published by Nintendo, don't expect a sale on it either.
Oh no!
Or if the sales are absolutely abysmal, then at that point you might see a price cut or a temporary sale just to try to see if they can get the numbers moving. But yeah, just much like you, just when the reveal was shown on the Game Awards, I was just kind of looking at going, okay, maybe at most this is a $40 game. And then of course when we got to the Nintendo Direct that happened a bit recently, and they were like, oh yeah, the pre-orders are live now, and then we both had hit the pre-order page and saw a retail price $60. I think the both of us were like, oh god, this is gonna fall so flat on its face. It's not gonna do well. I mean, maybe we're wrong, and maybe it turns out to be an excellent game, and that will be interesting if that happens. But from the kind of reaction that we've gotten from other Bayonetta fans and from people in general, they're just not interested in this. So, especially right after Bayonetta 3. This is almost, 6 months after Bayonetta 3 at this point? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, like at this point, I think more people would actually ask for DLC for Bayonetta 3 than this. So, yeah, so that's coming out March 17th. Look forward to it. Yeah, March 17th for the Switch. I'm still waiting on a price drop for Astral Chain. I haven't played Astral Chain yet. Is what I want to play, but there hasn't been a price drop, and it's kind of hard to find now. So that's a little upsetting. So anyway,
yeah.
Moving on, March 17th as well, WWE 2K23, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Zero, you are a huge WWE fan. You do the DX chop on every stream that we do. You tell me that Raw is zero every week. I can't freaking stand it. So you must be thrilled that WWE 2K23 is coming.
I wish I was a bigger Squared Circle fan, but I unfortunately am not. Yeah. I think really the only WWE personality I'm familiar with is pretty much Asuka, but that's only because she kind of runs her own little personal YouTube channel, kind of documenting some of the fun stuff that she's doing for WWE, or just going through her personal life when she's off stage and everything. But that's about it.
I will admit that I think the talent is a lot better than it used to be. I mean, I come from, like, my big time when I was really into wrestling was during the Attitude Era. And that's like Stone Cold, that's The Rock, Mankind, Undertaker, Val Venus, like those guys. Like those are the guys, like, really dirty, really raunchy storylines. There's some I've shown you that are really questionable, but
yeah.
But that's where I'm at. And the reason why I actually like watch wrestling matches, but when it comes to storylines, I think they're terrible. Like I can't get into them. But I will definitely watch a good wrestling match. But the problem with WWE 2K23 is that they don't change anything, really. The last one I played, I think, was 19. And it's exactly as it was when I last played it before, which I think was 16. So, and from what I've heard, all they've been doing with 2K22 and 2K23 is just improving on what's already there, especially after the disaster that was 2K20. So, unless you're a big WWE fan, I don't see why else you would want this. I'm actually looking forward to AEW Fight Forever and see how that turns out. But
yeah, I think what exacerbates the situation with WWE 2K games is the fact that back during the 2020 or 2019 release, the original studio who had been working on these Ukes out in Japan had expressed that they wanted to slow down the pace because they felt that 2K was just being completely unreasonable with going, hey, just keep cranking out these games as quick as possible. We want the yearly releases so we can just make sure that, you know, we keep things on track and just keep doing the monetization stuff so we can just keep cashing in on it and everything. And you said essentially said, we want more time to do a much more thorough iteration on these kind of games, and just the pace that you're working us to death on is just untenable. And of course, that was when they finally came to a disagreement with 2K and said, okay, you know what? We've tried to be judicious about this. Screw this. We're out. You can find another goddamn studio to work on this. And whichever studio has decided to step in to fill the void, I'm guessing that they're just working off of the code base that Ukes had been working on forever and just trying to lightly improve on that, where Ukes ended up moving on to the AEW games. So if you like what Ukes was doing, or their track record previously, then that's where you'll find them.
I just remember the terrible version that was released that had so many problems, and that's what led to them finally delaying the game or not releasing it 1 year to work on all that stuff. And from what I've heard from people who actually play those games, they just made it work as it was in 2K19 and 2K18. So it's not that they're really iterating that much on there. So
yeah, I think it was Ukes wanted to just do a complete revamp and just improve the base of the game to ensure that there was a better foundation for the future.
Yeah. So that's WWE 2K23. It's coming up PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. It'll probably sell. These are the type of games that it doesn't matter. The fans will buy it anyway. So, oh well. Next one, March 21st, Chia, PS4, PS5, PC. This release date was just announced on the State of Play this past week. This is the relaxing kind of exploration game. I forget which country the development studio comes from, but it's always...
New Caledonia.
Wow, really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So it does look interesting. So in that aspect, I'm curious about it. Not much more else, but it's just it looks like a relaxing exploration game, essentially, with a story, is what it looks like to me. So I guess those who are into those kind of slice of life or those like chillaxing games might be interested in this if they price it right. There is no price on it on Steam right now, but my guess is it's probably going to be along the lines of what Stray was, maybe? Stray was 30, was it?
Yeah, I believe it was $30.
Yeah, so I think 30 would probably be okay, right?
Yeah, I would hope so, but I do know that this has the backing of the PlayStation Studios brand, so if PlayStation is so full of themselves and decide to set this to $60 or $70, then I'm definitely going to be scratching my head if it drops with that kind of a price. I'll just be like, you sure about that?
How do you think this will turn out? I mean, we don't know the quality of the game, but is there enough interest in this game where it might sell pretty well for this developer?
It's definitely got an indie vibe to it, so I'm not quite sure. Okay, I think maybe at the most it might be priced at $40 because the other PlayStation 5 game that I remember that dropped on PC as well was Kenna Bridge of Spirits, and that has a retail price of $40. So
but that
maybe that's the price cap for Chia.
But Kenna, I believe, had the graphics in there that could justify that kind of price, even though I think that's a little too much for Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I don't think they can do 40 for this game. But then again, there are people who just say, I just want a good game and I'll pay any price for it. So maybe they'll get those people. But other than that, I think 30 would be right for this one. But if it's not, we'll see. I think it will sell pretty well if the reviews end up being pretty good. But that's only if the reviews are good. If there seems to be issues or people have criticisms about the game, then it might just go away after a week. But we'll see on that one.
I'll definitely be watching it with a bit of curiosity, mostly because of the fact that just we're so close to release, there's no pricing information on it. And this is an indie studio effort to boot as well, too. So you would think that PlayStation would be up at the forefront with pricing on this thing to try to drive people to take a look at it and everything. But yeah, just we're this close and there's no pricing information on it. So I'm definitely going to be watching this curiously to see how it unfolds.
Yes, we'll see how that turns out on March 21st. March 22nd, Have a Nice Death. Switch and PC. I thought I remember hearing that's coming out to other systems. Am I wrong on that? Nope. Just Switch and PC. Interesting. Okay. Have a Nice Death. March 22nd. It's going to be, Switch and PC. This is a 2D platforming action roguelike game.
Yeah, it's got kind of a Hollow Knight sort of vibe to it.
Right. I mean, it looks interesting. And they're pricing it right now on early access on PC for about $25. So I would expect this to probably raise to $30, possibly. But other than that, it looks interesting. I just don't see what differentiates it from other types of these games, to be completely honest. So unless it has a unique sense of humor or other interesting aspects to it, I don't know what to think about this. So it'll be interesting what the reviews are like. What do you think?
It'll definitely be interesting to kind of see how this one lands, especially since the whole Metroidvania sort of genre has been getting a lot of highlighting in the indie space. So I'll definitely be curious to see how this one ends up, because I know a lot of people had commented that they saw sort of stylistic similarities to Hollow Knight and everything. So yeah, I'll definitely be kind of watching this curiously to see how it ends up. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much to say on it.
Yeah, I don't really either. So it's March 22nd, PC and Switch. That is weird. PC and Switch? Okay. Sure. Like, I mean, if you have it on Switch, why not have it on the other systems? But okay. So look forward to that. March 24th, Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and the Secret Key. This has it only on Switch, but I know it's coming to Xbox and PS4. Not Xbox, PS4 and PC. I know that for a fact, so this listing is wrong. I know that. Atelier Ryza 3. There's a reason why they're doing Atelier Ryza 1, 2, and 3 is because Ryza is the only Atelier games out of, what is it now, like the 7th, 8th, or 9th games from the Atelier series, maybe more than that sold more than 1 million copies. So Ryza is a big hit for, it's Gust, right, that develops these games?
Gust is the studio in Koei Tecmo that does these games.
And it looks like Ryza might be the last on this trilogy. That they released their games in trilogies. So the one I got in, well, we talked about this. The one I got into was the Arlen trilogy, which is Maruru, Terori, and these names are terrible. What was the last one? Oh, who cares? Okay. It seems like a lot of people are getting into Atelier through Ryza. And so I expect this to be another good seller for Gust and company. I guess the question I would have with this game, I don't expect this to be bad. I think it will be solid. But my question I would have when it comes to the Atelier series moving forward is, what do they do to capitalize on Ryza's success? Are they going to make another Ryza trilogy? Or are they going to do things like Ryza? Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think one of the things that endeared a lot of people to this version was the character and its design. I mean, for specific reasons, but Ryza was a very appealing main character in terms of looks, at least. What do you think?
I think Ryza's design is partly to do with things, but in my opinion, the thing that drew a lot of people to the Atelier Ryza games have mostly been the fact that the game isn't as strict to adherence on time and schedule as the past Atelier games have been. Because with previous Atelier games, you would have a challenge or an objective that you'd have to focus on, and it would be something like make a rank potion, and you have 25 days to do it. So of course you're trying to grind for resources, you're trying to just do everything in your power to try to make sure that you get the resources and you skill up your proficiencies so you can hit the required rank that you're supposed to hit in order to synthesize the item that you're trying to synthesize. And every once in a while, you might have a challenge that ends up being really, really tough. And of course, just with the Atelier games, if you don't meet a deadline, what they do is they let you keep all the stuff that you'd gathered, but you have to start the cycle all over again. So let's say you get to day 25 and they're just like, all right, so day 25 is here. Ooh, you crafted a item that's a rank B, but that's just simply not enough to continue on the story. Sorry, game over. And then you end up just restarting at the beginning of the cycle with all the items you've gathered, and then you just kind of start over. And for some people who may not have been familiar with the Atelier games, sometimes that can come off as real annoying. And Ryza just completely flips the script, and it just basically will give you an objective, and you have all the time in the world to work on it. So you don't have to worry and go, oh shit, it's day 20 of 25. I haven't even come close to even to even making the item to the required rank that it's supposed to be. Oh, geez, this is going to be a brutal time. Instead, it'll just be, okay, I just need to make this item. Okay, cool. And because there's no time constraints, it allows the player to have a little bit more freedom on how they play. Because with each chapter where you're supposed to be making something or moving on to the next objective of going to the next major dungeon hub, there are side quests to do. And these can be from townspeople, from adventures in some of the dungeon hub areas, or just maybe interpersonal quests between like Ryza and some of her friends that she makes along the journey and everything. And some of these side quests can give quite important upgrades for your party. Sometimes they can give you a meaningful alchemy recipe that can essentially end up helping you with whatever your current task at hand is, and make things a little bit nicer to run through. So there's definitely that aspect to it as well. But yeah, I think it's really just more ease of access is probably my reason on why the Atelier Ryza trilogy has been just kind of rocketing off.
The ones I played, like I said, was Maruru, I think is the one I started with. Like, the timer on it was suffocating after a certain point in time. So that's why I bounced off of it as soon as I got stuck at one point. We talked about it last night, I think, when we were playing Diablo 3. And I'm looking forward to actually trying out the Ryza series, because the Atelier series seems like something I'm interested in gameplay wise, but the visual style didn't really jive with me. And then when it came to the timer, I was like, ooh, that's constrictive. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick up Ryza 1 and check it out, and then hopefully when Ryza 3 becomes cheap, probably pick that up. But then by that time that happens, they'll probably have DX versions of the Atelier Ryza series. So look forward to that. So that's coming to Switch, PS4, and PC March 24th. Also coming to March 24th, EA Sports PGA Tour, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. I know your love of professional golf. So I'm going to give you the floor here. Tell me your thoughts of how realistic it feels and how it feels like Rory McIlroy is breathing down your neck while he's hitting his 9-iron. Go ahead, Zero.
Unfortunately, I have never played a game of golf, so I wouldn't even be able to speak to anything.
I used to like sports, like golf games on consoles, but of course my favorite one was the Wii version of Tiger Woods. And that was interesting because of not only the Wii remote and the way they used that, but they also had frisbee golf in that. And it just fits. It was like a lot of fun to play that game. But in regards to EA Sports PGA Tour, what's interesting about this is that EA hasn't had a PGA Tour game or a golf game since Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. And I believe that was 4 or 5 years ago. And it did not turn out very well. Which then ping-ponged the PGA Tour license over to 2K for a couple years with their version of the club, I think it's called, their golf game, which they then turned into PGA Tour 2K. Now it's ping-ponging back to EA Sports, so I'm going to be really interested to see what happens with this and what the reviews are like. I am probably not picking it up. Like the reviews and the gameplay of these games have not been very hot. So I'm gonna wait for reviews and see how they turn out. But even then, I'm probably not gonna pick it up right away. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with EA Sports PGA Tour, and that's coming out March 24th. For the Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. The next one, March 28th, Crime Boss, Rockay City. This says just PC only, but I am more than certain it's coming to other consoles, right?
I think for the time being, it's just PC and...
According to Google, which is always reliable, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Windows. I would be shocked if they're only putting this on PC. to be completely honest with you. But
Okay. There is a PlayStation Store listing, so I think that is actually correct.
okay, so here's what happens. It is launching on March 28th on Epic Games. It is coming soon to consoles. That's what's happening.
Okay, that clarifies a lot.
And right now, their Twitter page still has it likely mature 17 plus, and it's coming out next month. Okay, that's not getting delayed. The thing that interested me in this is the amount of actors that it got that were cribbing 80s, early 90s movies, and crime movies specifically. So that had me interested. Other than that, I'm not too thrilled with what I'm seeing. Like it kind of looks like a Vice City ripoff to a certain extent.
And apparently it's a PvE sort of co-op thing too.
Okay.
So I would also say that there's also a vibe of Payday for anyone familiar with those games.
It's like a run-based kind of game. That I did not.
Yeah, because it's you've got like missions where you're doing stuff, heisting cash, drugs, or just rare artifacts. Apparently, is what the Epic Games page says.
Why would you do a Payday game but have all of these types of different actors? That's really weird. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's also, I think the reason that they're all the big actors is the game also has a single player component too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, like I said, like the actors that they're having has got me really interested, but I wonder if that's window dressing for what's going to be a pretty poor game. That's what I'm a little worried about. This is a budget title. It is priced at $32. Really?
Yeah, 32 for the pre-order, and then after the pre-order period is over, it'll go back to $40.
Okay, sure. Like I said, the only thing that's interesting me is the aesthetics, but nothing about gameplay has really gotten me excited or interested in this. So, I mean, if you, I guess, are interested and you want to get it cheap on PC, you can jump at it for $32, but I really wouldn't. I haven't seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. Have you seen anything that makes you at least a bit interested in this?
It looks neat, but ultimately just think my point of curiosity is going to be more just how the PvE co-op stuff is going to work, because for a good while, Payday 2 was in a real bad place. And especially when they had the whole monetization strategy that they were using, that, you've got to buy these safe keys to unlock the safes, and when you do, you get sweet premium DLC, and of course, just that ended up upsetting many people naturally. So I guess that's really where my point of curiosity is, which is just, okay, if the PvE co-op stuff is going to be Payday, how are you going to balance it? How are you going to, incentivize players to play it? Because that's really where I'm going to be the most curious on. Because if it's just setting itself up to just be sort of like complete FOMO, gear scores, and stuff like that, then count me out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this game, really. If it's a run-based game that has like a bunch of like additional cutscenes with famous actors, that's automatically less interesting to me. But if there's a single-player component, I might check it out, but when it's cheap. But nothing gameplay-wise has really gotten me excited for this. So that is Crime Boss Rockhay City. That is a terrible name. Rockhay City, March 28th, PC, coming out later on Xbox Series X, NES, and PS5.
It's kind of a calm release period, especially with just getting some games that were just absolute just showstoppers, both in January and February.
Right. Okay, so let's get into what we think is going to happen this month when it comes to sales. I'm looking at it right now as the big 3 games this month are, it's no surprise, Resident Evil 4 Remake, MLB The Show 23, and WWE 2K23. I think they'll be the big sellers. I think Bayonetta Origins is going to bomb. I think Wulong will do fine, but unless they start really picking up on marketing, let's say now, I don't think it's going to be that big of a seller. The 2 RPGs that are coming out, Trails to Azure and Atelier Ryza. I wouldn't be surprised if Atelier Ryza has a strong sales month. I would not be surprised by that. But yeah, I think the 3 big ones are Res 4, MLB, WWE. What do you think?
I'm probably in agreement with you. Wulong will probably sell just fine. I don't think it's going to be absolutely show-stopping or anything like that, but especially from the fact that from some of the demo impressions, it seems like if you were a big fan of Neo 1 and 2, then this is probably going to be more of the same, just with the setting being in kind of the Chinese warring states period and everything. So Chinese history nuts might get a kick out of it. It might be a bit of new territory for anyone unfamiliar with it, so I don't see that one selling too extremely strong. And really just the point that I keep going back to is the fact that just it's got systems that are very much rooted in what seemed like Neo's design. So if anyone quite liked that game, then yeah, I think that's where it'll just kind of sell solidly. It won't be like a sales monster or anything like that, but yeah, I think that's where that'll fall. Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, I'm definitely going to be curious to how this one sells, especially from the fact that just it's one of the weaker games in the Project Zero Fatal Frame games, and at the same right, it's also going to be the first time that the game has ever been localized officially in English. So I'm definitely going to be curious on how this one pans out as well too, but it'll be a bit hard to say. I know I'm kind of having trouble sort of predicting this one, but yeah, I'll definitely be watching that one closely.
Was it a smart idea for them to release it 2 weeks before Resident Evil 4 Remake?
Probably not.
Unless it's is it a cheaper game, or are they charging $60 for this?
I think it's being priced at $60 because of the fact that it is a full-on remaster from the Wii version, because I think the Wii version ran at 480p, so this one's getting a full 1080p remaster.
I have it on PC for $50.
Okay. Well, I think it's $50 for the standard edition, and then if you want all the extra costumes and crap, it ends up being like $70 or something.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's all there is, that's all there is for the new releases for March. It's looking like April is going to be pretty interesting. There's a long-awaited game that's coming out that month, but it will be interesting to see what happens around that time. That is it for the new releases from March, and that is it for this episode of Capital Games. Tune in next time where we talk about the going-ons and happenings in the business side of the video game industry. I am The Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.